I don't think that a regular introduction sets the scene enough for what the magnitude, size, and importance of this game is for me and for you and for Chelsea Football Club. Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel for your Tottenham versus Chelsea Premier League preview. This, for me, is the fixture every single season. I love the home one, yeah, but I've been to Spurs away a couple of times. We've won every single time I've gone to that ground because Chelsea just do know how to beat Tottenham. It's Tottenham. I don't know why over the years. I mean, I say I don't know why. I could reel off reasons why I don't like Spurs for a very, very long time. But it's pointless. I just don't like them. It's something that I've just decided I'm never going to waver from it. I've decided I'm never going to go away from it. I've liked individual players they've had in the past. And then the moment they leave, I really like them. I just don't like Tottenham. This is the game every single season that I want to win above any other one. Unless it's the final day of the season and we're playing against, like, I don't know, someone not that important, but if we win, we win the league. Do you know what I mean? This is the fixture that means the most. Last year, under Mauricio Pochettino, Chelsea went to the Tottenham Hotspur bloody stadium, or whatever that place is called, and we absolutely destroyed them. They got men sent off, and then in the end, they just did the Ange Postecoglou thing, which is one way or the highway. Or as Expression says on his YouTube channel, his favourite band is One Direction, because he doesn't know any other way. And at the moment, Spurs fans, after the match that they lost at Bournemouth on Thursday night, which is also an advantage for Chelsea, that Spurs played sooner than we did, which is good for us. But there was I'm going to say a lot, because it sounded like there was a fair amount of Tottenham fans in the crowd. When Ange went over, they are not happy with him. Ange Postecoglou is currently the funny name that's going around. And to be quite honest with Ange, right? He's the kind of guy, you listen to him and everyone's mate. You know what I mean? It's classic, is what it is. But I don't think he's got many mates left at the moment at Spurs. I think people at Tottenham right now are seriously on edge. And I'm going to make a bold statement here, okay? We're going to do score predictions at the end. We're going to build the lineup in a minute. But I'm telling you this. I've got a very good feeling next week, if Chelsea batter Tottenham, which a lot of Spurs fans, including some of the ones I know and speak to, a lot of people think Chelsea could destroy Tottenham this weekend, and that could be the nail in Ange Postecoglou's coffin. So, Mr. Enzo Maresca, getting your name sang on the South Coast, I'm telling you now, please do this for me. I would love it. More than anything, I don't need a 6-0, a 7-0, even just a 1-0. Own goal would be fine. Just beat this lot. Every time we play them, I dread to think in the build-up what I'm going to feel like afterwards. Because if Chelsea do lose to Spurs, I'm a shell of the man for a little while, few days until we next win a football match. So, it's Christmas. I don't want to have a bad week in the lead up to Christmas. So please, Chelsea, do the job. Okay? Looking at the way that we're playing right now, let's bring it back to us and less about my nerves, but my hatred of Tottenham. Right now, Chelsea are in the best form that we've been in since we lifted the Champions League in Porto, Portugal in 2021. We're playing amazing football with the top goal scorers in the Premier League. At home at Stamford Bridge, we look great. Away from home, blistering. And every game right now, Enzo Maresca is making tactical adaptations to the side, tactical instruction to manipulate the weaknesses of other teams and prepare Chelsea to be more defensively stable. And I've got a funny feeling about this game, you know. When we've seen Tottenham play this season, they've been really good against some of the big teams, importantly Man City, Man United, Aston Villa, and then you get your Crystal Palaces, your Ipswiches, your Bournemouths, no disrespect to any of those guys, but the lesser sides in the Premier League, and Spurs just crumble. But I'm telling you now, I'm not going to say there's no excuse, because Spurs on any given day, as we've seen, they've got good enough footballers to give them some credit here, to not make this just like the hate fest, but to give them some credit, they've got some very talented footballers. And there have been some games where Postecoglou has managed it so well that even the best don't know what to do against the pace. But I watched them against Bournemouth and I'm like, there doesn't seem to be any speed in the squad. Everyone's kind of got this like parachute on their back right now. So as much as I'm not saying this is like we have to win, we do, kind of, don't we? Like, surely we do. But I really think there is not a better time right now to be playing Spurs. Ange's body language in the press conference that I saw in the build-up to this game, he looked nervous. He's talking about signings potentially in January. He's like, that's not going to help against Chelsea, is it? And I think he's right, you know. Chelsea right now, we rested 7 players in midweek. And we've rested some of the big boys too. Nicholas Jackson didn't play. Pedro Neto didn't play. And these two are 2 players that I think can absolutely hurt Spurs. We've got to be careful. They do have quality. But I'm going to give the bold score prediction at the very end. I think there could be so many goals in this game. Even more than what we saw away from Tottenham last season. But without any further ado, we begin building this Chelsea team that's going to go to Spurs and put Postecoglou in the proverbial footballing managerial coffin. Okay, so Robert Sanchez, we know, is the goalkeeper. I think it's great of Maresca to give Jorgensen a run out against Southampton. I think he knew deep down that we were always going to win that game. The way that they play, the way that they always play. Maresca did it at the right time, but he also said in the post-match presser that the one player that's guaranteed to play at the weekend was Robert Sanchez. So let's move on from him. You guys know I always like to give a little side caveat, so we're not going to do it today. Moving into the back 4. Caicedo back at right back. Fofana, Colwill, Mark Cucurella. What this lineup gives you, and I'm going to put Lavia in front of them now as well, because I think we can split this team into 2 halves today when we talk about it. What we saw last week against Aston Villa, and it's because of just how much ground Caicedo covers, Chelsea had central dominance of the field. If you want to see what I mean by this, we've made 2 tactical breakdown videos this week. You guys seem to love them. Going to keep doing them after every game, even the losses. So check it out. But Caicedo, the way that right back position worked for him was literally perfect if we're talking about the definitions of what an inverted fullback coming inside looks like these days. What we saw from Tottenham against Bournemouth was how not to invert. You put Archie Gray, who is not the fastest player, as a right back, and you ask him to invert in the midfield. Ask him to go up and down, up and down. Caicedo can do this role to perfection. We saw it last week against Villa. And I think what Chelsea have unearthed here is something that we could have foreshadowed earlier this season. I think Maresca has left nothing to the imagination in the way that he speaks about this team, the way that he speaks about individuals. And the more time that he's had with these players and the way that we know his footballing brain works, I'm not surprised that we're starting to see Chelsea just dismantle teams. And to see potentially questionable decisions, when you look at it in hindsight, just be completely like, okay, this really does work, doesn't it? Caicedo covers so much ground. And I think Chelsea, even though Spurs are obviously a good side, Chelsea should be looking to go out there and smell blood here. And I think last week against Villa, we could have been even more ruthless. Same against Southampton. I mean, we could have had 10 or 11 goals. We had 13 shots on target. This team creates chances. And with Lavia in the middle, it just adds that little bit of extra protection. It allows Enzo Fernandez a little bit of extra freedom to be that player in the final third who's now scoring goals and being creative. So let's put the other half of the team up, shall we? I think this one was pretty self-explanatory, maybe. But we are going with Neto, Palmer, Enzo, Sancho, and Nicholas Jackson up top. Joao Felix, look, some people think I don't like Joao Felix. I do. I think he's a really neat and tidy footballer. I think he interplays well. He connects people on the pitch, but his finishing is just not good enough for me. Jadon Sancho scored his first goal the other day. I think he's been such a great signing for us so far. Gets assists. And what we see with this starting 11 here is if Spurs come at us, we know we're going to hurt them on the right side with Neto. That right side last week with Neto, Caicedo, Palmer over there was absolutely brilliant. Chelsea controlled everything there. And it was the same with Noni in the side on Wednesday. And I would say against this Spurs team, it might even be more beneficial to potentially have this, which is Neto on the left, Madueke on the right. That is also a really good option too, because Madueke does great defensive work. So you know what? I'm actually going to roll with that instead. I think maybe Sancho can come off the bench. If Spurs are winning and Chelsea need to get back in the game, I think if Spurs did, which I think Postecoglou here has got to do this. If Spurs go ahead, he can't just keep playing the way that Spurs always do. I think right now he's under so much pressure. And I think if Spurs did go ahead and we had to try and break them down, Sancho's the kind of player to like get at them. Do you know what I mean? So I think I'm just going to go with blister and pace on both sides. I think Madueke can also do great defensive work. So that's what we're going for. Noni and Neto. Noni also had a really good game the other day too, by the way. The only thing is I just said, look, you could have had 3 or 4 goals, mate. If your finishing gets better, then we're talking about serious levels. And I think that's what we've seen with Noni this season. He had that one absolute blinder away at Wolves, and then it was kind of a bit too mediocre for too many weeks. And I think people would have lost patience quicker based on those too many weeks if it wasn't a hat-trick. That's the reality of how I see it. So, this team is so good right now. We are in such good form. And the big question that everybody has right now is, are Chelsea in a title race? It will be impossible if we beat Spurs on Sunday night. Sunday night for me, Sunday afternoon for you lot. For me to not sit here and probably get very, very excited. So make sure you tune into the live stream. But if Chelsea do put in a very convincing win here, that gets rid of this, can Chelsea beat the big 6? Because yes, I know right now Spurs are not in the top 6, but this would be a statement win. Every time you score 5 goals in the Premier League, even against the bottom club... Oh, there's me throwing my pen into my glass. Fantastic. It's an excitable video, this one. Every time you score 5, you make a statement. People are starting to be like, this Chelsea team are really quite good. I think we're really good. My score prediction... I don't know. I'm really confident, but I'm nervous because always being confident, unless you're like, unless you're fully in control of it, which I'm not, I'm just a fan, I am nervous as well because I can't control the outcome of this game. So I'm going to say Tottenham Hotspur 1, Chelsea 4 again, which if you'd have asked me that last season, I wouldn't have said it. Part of me in my head this week has been thinking we're going to win 5-2. I don't know why. But I just think Spurs are... What I saw on Thursday, looking at the way that Chelsea have dismantled teams recently, I'd be lying if I said I didn't think we can slaughter them. I really, really believe Chelsea can go there and destroy Postecoglou. And I think he might get sacked if that destruction actually happens. I think the Spurs faithful, away fans, there's always going to be people there. There's hardcore fans there. You're going to upset people if you don't play well. And it looks like he doesn't have any other ideas. Yes, they've got a lot of injuries to give them that kind of credit, but I think this could be it. I really, really do. Let me know your score predictions and Chelsea 11s in the comments down below. Come on, you Blues.